war was there. It is a thing in itself. It stands apart from what came before and for what came after. It is precious to me. I would not call it a central experience of my life. My marriage is. But nevertheless, there it sits, casting its shadow over everything. I cannot stop thinking about it. It was a profoundly good experience. But how can something so horrible be so good? I will leave that to one of the philosophers. And that hit me because I think many old soldiers feel the same way. That period of my life left me for 50 years because I got married and I was starting a family and working, and that completely left me. And it was not until I read Dr. Phibbs's book that it got me thinking about it again. And when I called him to talk to him about his book and how much I thought of it, I said, "What's going on, doctor? I didn't think about any of these things for 50 years, and now I'm starting to think about it." And he said, well, it's simple. You started your life, you were busy with your life, your children, your family. Now you're on the other side of time. All those old things are coming back into your mind. And he said they'll never leave you, and he's right, they never leave. I was 17 when I graduated, not because I was smart, it was because my mother started me early. And so we all wanted to fly. That was the big deal. We all wanted to fly airplanes. So I went down and tried to get in the Air Force. But there were just too many guys with 20/20 eyes. I had 20/20 here, 20/40 over here. So I just went to work for Union Oil Company down at 9th and H Street here in Modesto. Company operation, selling gasoline for 19 cents a gallon. And so the minute I turned 18, I was gone. Every army has probably 10 divisions. Some armor, some infantry. You know, so 5th Division was in the 3rd Army, the 90th Division was in the 3rd Army. We just happened to be assigned to mostly the 20th Corps. Each corps had 4 or 5 divisions, you know, and they took about 3 corps to make an army. So we happened to be in the, mostly in the, I think in the 20th Corps. Sometimes we were at the 12th Corps, but so wherever they needed us, we would be. Well, when we got actually into action, our duty was to carry casualties back from a battalion aid station, which was the first medical doctor that saw them, back to evac hospitals like MASH units. So that was our job continually all the way through the war. I can still see the load, the first load of actual battle casualties. I can see them in my mind. And we pulled into this field. It was, by then it was August 1st, and it was green. The field was green. Soldiers lying all over the field because the 4th Armored had really got bloodied in the first action. This field was full of wounded. And our first load, we were backed up. We were loading them in. We had 4 litters, 2 up here, 2 down here. The man down on this side, his head was completely covered with bandages and it was completely covered with blood. And the medical doctor came by and he said, "Pull him out, he's dead." And so that was our initiation to the operation. We pulled him out and put him over the side, put someone else in. I've thought many times since I started recalling things who that fellow was and who his family was, you know, because he probably was 19, 20, maybe years old. But there he was, and they probably buried him in the cemetery right near there. We didn't know anything about it. I'm sure the higher-ups knew about it. Of course they did. The Jewish communities knew about it. And all the higher-ups knew about it, but no one had told us anything about it. We got to a town called Gotha, G-O-T-H-A. Someone ordered us to go from Gotha down to this town called Ordrup and see this camp. And so Lockhart, Ray, and I drove down. It was about 30 miles. And the camp was up on a hill. And we drove in the camp through the gate, and we didn't see anyone alive. Anybody there was dead. One of our sergeants actually saw an American airman that was there, and he wasn't emaciated or anything, so they probably just shot him down and they just put him in there because it's close. And he was shot right in the back of the head and the neck, and of course he was dead. It wasn't that unusual to see dead people, but the way they were dead was unusual. There were about 20,000 people, we learned later. All we did was observe the crematorium and leave. But someone asked us if we would pick up people that were lying in the fields. And Ray and I figured they were people that they were marching back from Ordrup or one of the other camps back to Buchenwald, and they couldn't make it. And so that's why I think I'm probably the only one here in the county that's actually had hands-on these people. They were lying in the fields. We couldn't speak to them, of course. We didn't know what the little pajamas were or the little patches they had on the pajamas. We could put two of them on a litter, which is, you know, a stretcher. We call them litters. One's head up here, one's head's there. And we took them then, we're pretty sure we took them back to Buchenwald, where a evac hospital had come over from the States and set up there to start taking care of the people in the camps, start feeding them, giving them medical attention, and so on. And so we were only there about 2 days and went on to finish the war. Buchenwald itself wasn't specifically a killing camp. It wasn't like Auschwitz with the gas chambers. Buchenwald was set up as a work camp, and they supplied about 80 camps within a 100-mile radius of Buchenwald were different camps to do different things. Some were underground factories, some were working in the fields, some were working in the coal mines, and each one had a camp like Ordrup. The lady that wrote the book for me, Martha Leffler, this Jewish lady, she wanted to know, what did Ray and I talk about? What did the other soldiers talk about when they saw this? What could we talk about? We both agreed we didn't say much of anything. What could you say? Think of it yourselves. If you came across something like that, what words do you have? What words did a 20-year-old, couple of kids, 20 years old, what words did we have in our vocabulary to express that situation? What kind of people? What does mankind do to each other? There it was, right in front of us. And a lot of these guards were Lutherans, belonged to the Lutheran Church. How could they do this? How could the people in the town of Ordrup, just down the hill, how could they put up with that? They put up with it because if they made any attempt to try to do anything, they would be in the camp themselves, probably headed for execution. So Martha never was happy with my answer on what Ray and I talked about, because it was just too mind-boggling, too overwhelming. What is there to say? And I still today, I still don't think they say the right words.